Hi, I'm Denise Gorse from Loyola Press, joined by Becky Eldredge for an Ignatian conversation. Becky Eldredge is an Ignatian-trained spiritual director, retreat facilitator, and author of two books, The Inner Chapel and Busy Lives and Restless Souls. Becky joins us from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Welcome, Becky.
Hello, Denise. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. We're glad you can join us, and congratulations on receiving the Loyola Institute for Spirituality 2023 Writers Award.
Thank you. It was quite a surprise, and I'm just so grateful and just honored to be recognized for the all the fun years of writing.
Absolutely. And we've enjoyed your writing for so many years. So I want to ask you today, what has surprised you as an Ignatian writer?
Yes. Well, first that comes to mind is the people I've met, like yourself. I mean, I think it's really fun. I know when you reached out about this, my first thought was, okay, God, this is really cool that Denise and I get to talk because you I always say Denise discovered me. You discovered my writing years ago, and I cannot. It's just amazing how many people God has brought in my life throughout the writing process. So when I was thinking, what has surprised me? One has been the people. Another one has been how much writing deepens my relationship with God. And it still surprises me. I don't know why it should, because the call to write rose in the middle of the exercises. So clearly, there was probably something I should have paid attention to. But the more I write, the more I really understand how much of a vocational call it is, and that it's a piece of the pathway that leads me ever closer to my relationship with Christ. And so when I think, wearing my writer hat, I can say it that way, wearing my spiritual director hat, it's something about writing is part of that line of the first principle and foundation about it helps me choose the path that leads me deeper to my life with Christ. Um, and And I always can think of how writing welled in my journey of the exercises. It first rose in that first and second week experience around the election. And I'll never forget when God put this call to write on my heart. And I was like, what are you talking about? Write what? I don't want to write. I'm not a good writer. And then to think about how that call continued, it was really confirmed in the third week. And so much of writing, Denise, feels like an experience of living the take Lord prayer over and over
Mm.
again. It's like, okay, God, I'm gonna give you everything. This process, my life experience, what you've done in my prayer, all the stories and people I've encountered, and use it for you, you know, how you will. Just give me your love and your grace.
Yeah. So, Becky, when you talk about writing and spiritual directing, and I know you're a spiritual director, but for people who aren't spiritual directors, do you encourage maybe some of the folks you're companioning in prayer to use writing to help them get in touch with God?
For sure. And I think especially in our Ignatian tradition, I mean, we're talking in an Ignatian world, that writing was such a key piece of how Saint Ignatius came to discover and understand what God was doing in his life. So this art of spiritual writing or journaling is kind of really part of the backbone of our spirituality, right? Ignatian spirituality. And so to have to encourage, I mean, as a director, I encourage people all the time to journal. I'm a big journal. You can see a few over there in where there's a bunch of black right there. That's a bunch of my journals through the
Mm.
years. Because it helps us have a better understanding of what God's doing in our life.
Mhm.
And, sometimes when we pick up that pen and write it out, or, if our fingers come on the keyboard and write it out, God helps us brings us to just new understandings, new wisdom, new revelations happen. So journaling is such a great tool for our interior life.